another episode of the LOOR Entertainment Podcast, and boy, do we have a show for you today. Of course, it goes without saying, which is why I'm going to say it. You know him from Hercules and Andromeda, and I know him from Psych, and I hope we get a chance to talk about that. The one, the only actor, writer, director, Kevin Sorbo. Thank you for being on the show today.
My pleasure. Good to be here.
All right. Well, we let's get right into this. I know time is precious. Let's start off with Miracle in East Texas. You've got a brand new movie. It's coming out end of the month. Fathom Events, October 29 and 30. We do have a trailer. We'll put that in post so we can make sure we get the most time with you here. Tell us about Miracle in East Texas. How did it come on your radar? And you also directed too. So Talk a little bit about taking on the task of making this picture and then getting it out.
Well, it's a true story, I love true stories. And it's set in 1930. Dan Gordon's a dear friend of ours. Dan Gordon is the writer of this wonderful movie. He wrote Hurricane for Denzel Washington. Denzel won his Oscar. Dan was nominated for original script. He wrote White Earp, Kevin Costner. He wrote 60 episodes of Highway to Heaven for Michael Landon's TV series. Fantastic writer. Yeah. He brought it to me. I fell in love with it. Originally, he wrote the script many years ago for Robert Redford and Paul Newman.
How about that?
And scheduling and all the stuff back and forth, it just never really happened. And they both felt after doing Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid and The Sting that they just kind of wanted to leave it at that. They just had two big hits with that. They didn't want to. I don't know. They just didn't want to jump back in that again as a team again. So they brought it to me. I fell in love with the script right away. It's about two con men that went through Oklahoma and Texas in 1930. This is right in the heart of the Depression. They went through. Yeah. During that time, and they would woo widows out of their money on fake oil wells. They would sell 500% of the shares. As you know, you can only have 100% anything. So they were really big con artists. And by the time we got to Kilgore, Texas, they strike oil totally by accident. The character I played, he wanted out. And he said, let's get out of here we can't bring this oil in. Let's just cap it and get out of here. Well, John Ratzenberger's character wanted to bring it in. He said, look, I'm an oil man. I've always wanted to bring an oil. I said, dude, we're going to get arrested. And he was like, no, they'll never arrest us because we're going to make it very rich for everybody in this area. Well, of course, we get arrested and all the widows come down for the trial. But there's more to the title than Miracle in East Texas. It's not giving it away that they strike oil. What gives away, what I'm not going to give away is what happens post-oil strike, what happens to them and the miracles that happen in their lives as well. It's won 10 film festivals, best romantic comedy, best faith-based movie, best judges, audience favorite. It's a PG-rated movie. I love the fact that they can't pigeonhole this movie into one category because it covers a lot of categories, but it's a wonderful, wonderful movie. And I just showed it to 400 oil men in Oklahoma City, oil men and women. And they absolutely loved it. And it opens, like you said, it opens for two days only. We need to fill theaters now. Go to sorbostudios.com, sorbostudios.com. Sign up, get your tickets now. Fathom events are great for independent movies like ours and the indie world, but we don't have $100 million budget like they do to put out Avatar and Avengers and all that. So we need people to support these movies. And I get stopped all the time. You mentioned Hercules earlier, also my series Andromeda. People stop me now for my movies like Soul Surfer, God's Not Dead, What If, Let There Be Light. They want more movies like that. This is the movie. There you go right there. There's the little miniature. Actually, there's a bigger poster size.
That's your backdrop. Yeah.
But there's a poster for it right there. It's a wonderful movie. And I hope people will check it out. And October 29th is when it first comes out.
So this is Texas. Very flat.
I just believe the hand of Providence has been guiding our every step. We're going to hit oil right here on your plate.
Doc Boyd and Daniel.
While they weren't much good at actually finding or drilling for oil, they both possessed an unusual facility for convincing people that they could do just that.
Oil! I've never felt it so strong in all my life!
Widows were the mother's milk of the petroleum hustle.
Love is not time's fool.
And now that they had a well, it was time to hit every widow they could find in a 3-county radius.
This well, we can't bring it in. We've already sold close to 500%.
Yeah, so?
You can only have 100% of anything. I just wanted to be square with you because I care for you, man. Give you back the $1,000 I took.
That you swindled from other widows. I don't want you here. I want you out of my house.
We gotta take what we got and get it as far away from Texas as we can get.
You want me to walk away from it?
We're crooks. We've conned all those old ladies.
Yeah, we con those old ladies because that's what we do. I'm an oil man.
Praise Jesus in all his glory.
Lotharios.
He's talking about you.
True hand-to-God miracle is what it is.
That's the gospel truth.
Leave the rest up to Jesus! God's own bounty.
Oil.
Black gold.
Amen. Amen.
Well, looking at the poster there, you've got a great cast in the film. John Ratzenberger, Louis Gossett Jr., Tyler May, a few actors from the Sorbo house as well. Right. Gwyneth Walsh. Talk about working with that cast. I mean, you know, we have a lot of cinephiles that watch this podcast and then also up and coming filmmakers. And so everybody has their ideas of what actually happens. And of course, you know what actually happens, but you get a cast like that. These are not lightweights. These are people who know what they're doing. Rumors are sometimes you get prima donnas, other times you get people that are as generous as could be. What was it like putting this cast together and working with them during production?
Well, it was great. Not only this cast here, but the other cast that's not on this poster that we found up and we shot up in Canada, up in Calgary. And we found some amazing local actors there that bring so much light and laughter and gravitas to this movie. Lou and I have known each other a long time, and we wanted to work together for a long time. And I finally found the script, and he came in, and he's really the narrator of the movie, but he opens up the movie because he is the guy that's playing this little 8-year-old boy that witnessed this happened back in that day. And we had Lou for a couple of days, and he was great. And we met through the Comic-Con worlds, believe it or not. And the same thing Well, John Ratzenberger, I've met a number of social situations through the years. And John and I did a movie back in 2010 with Dallas Jenkins. He's doing a pretty big thing called The Chosen right now. Mm-hmm. And Dallas directed me and my first really faith-based movie called What If. I've shot over 80 movies. I know people are fans of God's Not Dead. This is the same writers that I did a movie with called What If earlier. What If, in my book, much better movie than God's Not Dead. And see, that's the problem. Really? Yeah, it's a problem with independent movies. How do you get them out there when you don't have that big advertising budget? We need word of mouth. God's Not Dead just got that huge word of mouth. What If? Much better movie. And John's in that, and Christy Swanson's in that movie with me as well.
We'll come back. We'll underline Miracle in East Texas again at the end of our conversation. I want to move forward just a little bit here. You talk about getting the word out. Well, you are infamous, if I may quote Martin Short from Three Amigos, you are infamous for being canceled by Hollywood. And it's hard to get your word out when Hollywood says, we don't want your word at all. But you've continued to take more faith-based films, Christian films. What is the greatest contrast you think between the independent and faith-based? I know those can be two separate things, but then the traditional Hollywood stories, and how has getting canceled affected how you choose the projects you work on?
Well, I feel I'm the original cancel culture victim in Hollywood over 12 years ago. My manager and agent said, we can't work with you anymore because of your being a Christian and more, even worse, being a conservative in Hollywood. There's a lot of conservatives in Hollywood, but I'm just more open about it. And I don't fill up with anger like the liberals do. There's so much anger on the left. There's so much hatred from them, and divisiveness. I'm a live and let live kind of guy. To me, I was shocked. I said, okay, fine. You're the ones who scream for tolerance, who scream for freedom of speech. But as we know, it's a one-way street with these guys. I love the industry. I formed SorboStudios.com and started doing my own thing. And other independent, production companies got a hold of me. So all these movies I mentioned earlier aren't my movies. A lot of them I'm just coming in as an actor, sometimes act and producer. But, it's weird. I do movies that Hollywood used to do. They have such a weird agenda now, and everything's about visual effects. And I mean, I enjoy Avengers movie too, but when it's just, you sort of walk out after a roller coaster ride and go, that was a lot of fun. But, the messages they're putting out there are not really with mine. And every movie is a faith-based movie. If you're an atheist, that's a very strong faith. To believe in absolutely nothing, pretty incredible. I mean, that's a strong faith. So I don't like faith-based saying that from the movies I do. I call them family-friendly movies.
Sure.
Movies that have love and hope, and hopefully there's a redemption in there and laughter and things that Hollywood used to do. I mean, Disney's looking at over $1 billion loss this year. Over $1 billion. That's not a good way to run your business, because people are tired of this woke agenda. They're just sick and tired of it. People just want to be entertained. Tom Cruise gets it with the movies he does. Guy totally gets it. I don't know where he's a Scientologist or something like that. I don't understand that, whatever that is anyway, but the guy doesn't force any of that down anybody's throats. He goes out there and just does really entertaining movies, whether it's Mission Impossible movies or Top Gun or whatever it may be. And they always are successful. So I appreciate what a guy like Tom does in the big budget world, because, he's not as outspoken as I am, but he's certainly an outspoken individual. But he just goes out there and just wants to make entertainment for people. And I think that's fantastic. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to do the movies that I fell in love with, what Hollywood used to do. So I'm doing more of those myself.
Before we move on to the next section, I want to make sure you've also got children's book, Test of Lionhood, out through Brave Books, bravebooks.com. Talk a little bit about the book and why you wrote Test of Lionhood. There it is.
There it is, Test of Lionhood, right there. Go to bravebooks.com. You can get a free signed copy of my book at Brave Books, and then you got to join for a year, and you get a new book every single month through Brave Books. They're fantastic people. They're amazing people. And hold on. Comedian JP Sears, a buddy of mine, his just came out this month, so I'm giving Chomp a little run too.
There you go.
They came to me because I started saying, I'm tired of the sheep being the sheep. I'm tired of the silent majority being silent. How much worse does it have to get in our country, economically, politically, whatever, for people to wake up? Look at the crimes in all the major cities. Look what's going on out there, guys. So I said, we need people to wake up and not be afraid to fight back. And it doesn't be a physical fight back. Just having your voice be heard. Don't be afraid. The press has done such a great job of really silencing the majority. I mean, 95% of the press is liberal, far left, progressive, whatever you want to call it. And they go out there and just attack anybody who has a different ideological point of view from theirs. And I said, this is absolutely ridiculous what's going on in our country right now. And how bad does that have to be with looting going on in stores? Look at all the Targets that closed down. Look at all the businesses moving out of California with their crazy politics and out of Oregon and Washington State. I mean, people need to be lions. I'm saying, I'm here to wake up the lions. I'm getting attacked by the alphabet crowd now, saying I'm anti-trans and homophobic and all this. And I laugh at that because I've been in the business 40 years. Every set I've been on, whether it's a movie or TV show, there's gay people. You won't find one that says he was horrible to me, he was so mean. You won't find one, but they have their narrative and they have their catchphrases and they just stick with it. This book has nothing to do with bashing any group. It's a story about a lion cub that he's he's a 9-year-old kid, and his little sister gets cut by a plant when they're out in the woods near the mountains. He knows he doesn't have time to get back to his home because his father taught him everything about the good and the bads and the dangers that are out there as well. He's got to get past his insecurities, his fear, and he's got to run up that mountain to get that one plant, that one flower that his father told him about that can save his little sister's life, because he doesn't have time to get back to his parents or she's going to die. It's just really about finding your own bravery, and it's kind of letting boys grow up to be men and be strong men and strong fathers. Yeah. That's all it's about. This isn't anti anything. It's pro-child. Pro-child. That's all it is.
Well, that's something we definitely need to be in this country. There's so much that is not pro-child. So appreciate your work on that. All right. Let's get to, we got a few minutes left. Sure. I want to get to some Facebook questions here. We polled our audience and looked for questions. There are many of them. I know, right? So, and I'm going to start, because I have the privilege and the honor of hosting the show. I'm going to start with mine because that's how I roll. I was binge watching an old show from the late 80s, early 90s on the weekend. And I came up, hopefully this will show up for you as well. I came upon this thumbnail. Do you recognize that individual right there? And can you tell me what you were doing?
Yeah, I believe that was in Murder, She Wrote, I think.
You are close. That's the commish.
Is that the commish?
That's the commish.
I shot both those at the same time. I shot them both in 1992, the year before I got Hercules. And we shot them. Here's interesting, because I did I had 7 auditions they brought me in for it on Hercules. And they auditioned 2,800 actors, I was told, in North America for the role of Hercules. I got down to the final 3. About 3 days before I even shot this scene, I was in LA doing the final audition. And I told him, look, I got to fly to Vancouver to do Michael Chiklis' series, The Commish. So I go up there and I do the show. And while we're filming the show, my manager called up and said, I got the role of Hercules. So that's happening right there while you're filming that scene, huh? Yep.
Wow.
Pretty funny.
Right on. Okay, let's see. I think I've got a next one here. Oh yeah, this is my favorite. This is you, bounty hunter on Psych. Do you just get like, does your agent or whoever your friends say, hey, we got a guest spot on Psych, just go and do it? And then was it a simple in and out, or what was it like working with those guys?
Well, by now I had 7 years on Hercules, which season 3 became the most watched show in the world. And I had 5 seasons on Andromeda, which was the #1 show in America and first run syndication. And that was in 150 countries around the world. So this is about a year after Hercules was done and about the time I started doing more independent movies. And hold on, I get it, Rez. And so they called me up and said, hey, we got a great role of bounty hunter. I went up there and did it. It was great for me. They shot that stuff in Vancouver as well. Mm-hmm. They had half of my crew from Andromeda. So it was like going back home for me in a way, working with a lot of my old camera guys and, visual effects guys and stuff. And they called me back about 3 more times. They wanted me to reprise the role, because what was great about Psych is if they liked certain characters, they would bring them back to do more than just one episode. But every time they called me, I was shooting a movie. I've been shooting about 4 movies a year for the last 20 years. So I've been very busy. And it's hard to believe Andromeda finished in 2005. So that's 18 years ago already. That's something. That's just scary to me. So I went, I would love to go back and do those other episodes. Those guys were great. It was a very fun set to work on. If there was egos on the set, I didn't see it. I saw everybody just having a really good time. And Corbin Burnson was playing the father on that show, and he and I have done a couple movies together since. So Corbin's a great guy. In fact, Corbin and I were in a movie that I directed that was out in theaters earlier this year in January, February, called Left Behind: Rise of the Antichrist, based on the 80 million best-selling books Left Behind. So I hope people get a chance to see that movie as well.
All right, let's do one more fun one. This question, I got time for maybe a couple more. This question comes from Chris Seagroves. He wants to know, who would win, Captain Dylan Hunt with all his gear and crew, or Hercules?
Well, Captain Dylan's ship is pretty badass, I got to say. Because, look, I'm a big fan of the original Star Trek series. Big fan. Okay. Growing up, I watched all the reruns and stuff in the 70s and into the 80s when I was in college and everything. And we'd watch Twilight Zone at 10 or 10:30, and 11 o'clock at night was Star Trek. And I also had a group of us guys in my dorm. We'd all hang out and watch it. But when Maisel Roddenberry called me in the final season of Hercules and said, I got a show my husband wrote back in 1969, and if he were still alive, I think he's the one that would want you to be the second captain he ever created after Captain Kirk. So it's Captain Kirk and then Captain Dylan Hunt. And I was like, boom, I'm in. And it was just awesome to be part of that. And we had a nice 5-year run. Would have gone 2 more years, but the company, the Tribune company that owned us, went into bankruptcy. They had to freeze all our assets. And we were doing great for them. We were the #1 show in first run syndication. So for me as a fan and the fans out there, I'm sorry. We should have had 44 more episodes of that series. But I think Hercules would win hand to hand. But Captain Kirk and his ship and his force lands, I don't think Hercules would stand a chance.
Okay. All right. Let's see. I got 2 minutes left. This will be hard for you to answer in that amount of time, but let's see. With your Christian faith, your worldview, how do you go about choosing roles, especially is there a separation, like when a role might be in conflict with your faith or with your worldview? Do you still take that role, or how do you work through that? That's
easy. I mean, for me, whether it's a Christian or not, I think there's a moral compass that we all have, and we all decide we want to play on it or not. There are roles I wouldn't do, and but I did a zombie movie last year that's coming out next year. I played a 700-year-old vampire in another one. I did a movie that I played a serial killer. It won the Austin Film Festival back in, I don't know when that was, 2010 or 11 or something like that, called Julia X. But the character was interesting to me. So I'm not like a holier than thou guy. I'm not a prude in any way. I mean, I'll go see a good R-rated movie. If it's got violence, it's got violence. I think that I can handle it. But to me, it really comes down to when I read a script, I read the first 20 pages. And if I like the script and like the role, And, I got the time to do it. I'll do it. I mean, I've got 3 more movies lined up for this short year already. I'm crazy doing a lot of publicity on this in the book, this movie in the book. But I've got a Christmas movie coming up, which is obviously a nice family movie. But I'm playing a doctor in another one. It's just a true story based on a woman that had stage 4 cancer. And I was trying to talk her out of having the child she had. I said, you don't understand that this child, the hormones from your pregnancy are going to accelerate the growth of the cancer. But her faith wanted to have the baby, and the baby was actually born before she died. A great touching story. I do stories that maybe make people think and make them have a good conversation about it afterwards, maybe a character they can relate to. But I like to mix it up. I don't go around saying I'm the most perfect person. I'm hardly that. I think people have the wrong idea. People that are, if they're Christians, that they think they're better than anybody else. I know I'm not. I'm just grateful for the life and the career I've had.
Kevin Sorbo, we are right up on it. I know you got to run real quickly. SorboStudios.com. Check out Miracle in East Texas. Again, opening the Fathom events October 29th. Is there any place else people can catch up with you if they want to follow you and your work or social media exploits?
The best, definitely go to Twitter. I got banned from Facebook 2.5 years ago for posting the truth about COVID.
Yeah,
they said it's misinformation. Everything I said now has obviously been proven true, but they still won't let me back on because Zuckerberg's a complete pussy. So after Musk does his cage match with him, I'm happy to do one with him too.
There you go.
So no, but I mean, it's just so stupid. I mean, all you do is you post the truth. Now it's, the truth is kryptonite to people that now it's crazy to me what we're doing to the world. But follow me at K Sorbs. All my buddies call me Sorbs. So K Sorbs on Twitter. I got about 1.8 million or more followers there, but I lost over 2 million followers on Facebook. But Sorbo Studios has all the information. Go on to sorbostudios.com. It's my wife's website along with mine. She's a home educator. We're homeschool advocates. You go to the Miracle in East Texas link, click it, put in your zip code, tells you what theater's near you. Please go buy 10 tickets, send it to 10 people to tell them to send 10 tickets. We need to fill these theaters up. sorbostudios.com, and go to bravebooks.com as well.
All right. Kevin Sorbo, thanks again for your time and being on the show today. We know you got to go. So that's going to be all for us. This has been the LOOR Entertainment Podcast. Thanks for sticking around and watching the show. We'll see you next time.
Adios.